Why did they call you the corporate nanny? And did you earn that title? And it's actually kind of proud to
It's
be.
actually kind of cool,
Yeah.
actually, and it works. I mean, the woman that dubbed me, she's a great lady. She's working in Detroit these days, and she said that every time she called me, I would always be able to think it through with her and never said, oh, that's crazy or that doesn't work. And she always felt like she had good care. And we were at a team retreat, and I walked into the meeting, and she said, oh, everybody, here's our corporate nanny. And I was like, oh, that
Great
has a nice
idea.
ring to it. And so hence the book.
Interesting. Nobody would ever call a guy a corporate nanny.
No, they
even though
wouldn't call
there's
a guy.
consultants out the yin
Sure.
yang. When does the company call you?
Well, usually when there's pain. They never call me to say everything's great.
No preventive.
Yeah, they never call and say, you know, Kathy G, before something bad happens, why don't you come and talk to us? It's always, uh-oh, something's happened. They always think it's really bad, but it's never really bad.
It's never. They always think it's worse than it is.
Right. They always think it's worse than it is. It's usually a miscommunication. Someone said something, somebody misunderstood, and then there's hurt feelings and unproductive
Kathy,
time.
you should be a marriage counselor.
I should be a marriage counselor.
You should branch out.
Don't laugh. I did a workshop today, and one of the participants said, I wish my husband was here. Is that funny?
No, it's realistic.
It
It's
was
right
funny.
on. Yeah.
So I hung a shingle.
Yeah.
On the
good for
heels
you.
of 9/11, when I realized the world could
Yeah.
change that fast, I said, I want something that's mine.
So that was a sort of a midlife crisis
that was
moment?
my midlife crisis moment, yeah.
That and a beautiful car.
And a beautiful car.
I'm still waiting for that one. But yeah, the car.
And I said, wow, do I really want to spend another 15 years, 20 years working in a corporate environment, in a boardroom, and people are arguing about who gets paid what, when I could really help people change their lives at work? And I really feel like I do that. I'm always welcome. People always say, hey, Kathy G, it's nice to see you. I feel good about that. And they take my advice with the right heart and the right head. And I usually give it to them straight, which is another corporate nanny trait about me. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm from New York, so it's hard to sugarcoat
Right.
anything.
That's to your benefit,
That's
though,
to my
because
advantage.
it's down to earth.
And so I've taken years of work I've done and studies and behaviors and observations that I've done and said, I'm going to boil it down to 4 different playground personalities so that the managers can easily remember them and they're not too difficult and they've got an everyday definition so they can think about who's who on their feet. And it's been great. So I take people back to the playground, the kid that wanted everybody to make sure they got a turn at bat versus the kid that wanted to make sure everybody counted off by 2s versus the kid that stole the kickball ball before before the game started, or the kid that said, you know, if we had played it my way, we would have won. And I converted those into personalities that are sitting right in boardrooms. They're sitting in offices, big offices, and they still want to take the ball.
Patience.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's scary
It is scary.
because you have your coworkers who see you as one way and then suddenly you're another and you have to be a manager.
And most of the people that got promoted, even seasoned managers, they got promoted the same way that the entry-level managers got promoted. Oh, so and so quit. You're
You're
good.
it.
You're a good accounting person. You're the new accounting supervisor. So we all learned kind of all kind of stumbled up into our jobs. I mean, there are some government jobs where you go on interviews and things are pretty much locked down, but most of the companies don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, they find that trust and experience in the organization really does help the person. So they'll hire the person, they'll give them the responsibility, but then they won't give them any training or any mentoring.
So they have no idea.
So,
and they're
so
over
they
their
have
head
no
and it's-
idea. So there's 5 principles. They're really easy. One is figure out who's who. Know that if you're working with a peacemaker, yelling at them is not going to work. And then the 4th one is work is usually very serious, but not ultra serious. You have to use some humor. You have to find the humor in the situation. Not necessarily making fun of people. I'm not saying to do
Oh,
that.
that's the best,
But
though.
now, well, my revolutionaries sometimes get in trouble about that. They have the nicknames for everybody. And then the last is, at the end of the day, we get paid to get something done. So how do you use tact? And how do you get buy-in from people? So those are the 5
That's
easy
hard.
steps.
You just described parenthood.
I describe relationships. I
mean,
describe
honestly,
parenthood.
you do have to be a
Yep.
shrink to do the
You
what
do. You do. In that
You do.
50 to 60-year-old something, they start questioning their career.
Yeah.
They start saying, you know, my dad was a CPA, or my dad was a lawyer, so I was a CPA, or I'm a lawyer, and I actually hate being a lawyer,
Yeah, yeah.
or I hate being an accountant.
Well, I'm not going to go to med school.
Right,
or
at 50
you
years
know,
old, I'm not
right.
going to go back if there's something that
Right.
I feel like I missed.
Yeah.
So they're reinventing themselves, and it's stressful. I get a call. I got a card today from someone that said, Kathy G, you figured it all out for me. I was struggling for months, and you spent an hour with me, and I get it. And people actually take the time to write notes, handwritten notes.
yeah.
We don't see too many of those these days.
It's amazing.
pretty
Do you
cool.
find that people are really lacking in their knowledge of how to resolve these problems?
Oh,
They have
there
to
are
call you?
so many people who are clueless. They have zero self-awareness.
And
'Cause
you're here to say it, yeah.
I'll say, did you hear yourself? And they said, what? You know, they don't, because we don't listen. We're not
right.
great listeners. We say things, but we don't really hear what we say. But I find that some people are clueless. And I said to this one person not that long ago, I said, do you get the feedback that people say, yeah, I knew you were going to say that? And she said, all the time. I said, well, you need to change your mode. Because she was coming from an organizer. She's a high organizer.
We are all one of those types that you described,
Yeah.
but do we have the other types in us as well?
We do. We just have to develop them. You know, I
And
laugh.
that's hard to do.
I'm not very spontaneous. My younger brother said I'm about as flexible as a surfboard when we were in our 20s. But I'm a high organizer, and when I'm under stress, I get more organized, if that's even possible.
No.
And when people, when people say, "Are you trying to overmanage this?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I'm aware that I'm doing it.
Yeah. Fabulous to have you. I learned a lot, and I'm not even in business. Well, I sort of am, but that's another story. Basically, between parenting and journalism and everything, you can help any industry. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Karen.
And
It's been fun.
we will see you guys next time. Don't forget to email me. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.
I was trying to